We are here to discuss budget, and there was no public comment, so we can move right on into budget.
Okay, and really it's just from last week conversation. Mr. Hale has put together an updated change worksheet, and I just wanted to make sure we run through that, the changes that have been made and incorporated in the current budget. Where did it go? There we go.
The only thing that doesn't reflect is the 54,000.
Right, and that was from tonight, yeah.
I've got one I can email you if you'd like.
Okay.
I'll update it.
Sure. If you want to, instead of emailing it, can you just go in BOE Connect and add it as a
I can.
document under budget?
Yes.
That would be more helpful. Okay. Okay,
It'll take you just a second to sign on that one.
sure.
Is everybody in favor of giving them the increase on the custodian? I thought we was gonna wait and talk about it in the board meeting, but.
Well, that's, Brad was just pointing out if you did approve it,
Okay.
it would be 54,000 in addition to whatever we discussed tonight. So what's not incorporated in here is, as Brad mentioned, the request for the CPI from the janitorial service, approximately 54,000. And then also the changes, the potential changes in the coaching supplement schedule. We haven't calculated the total impact, but I do believe the impact will be in the neighborhood of $75,000 to $100,000. So there's $120,000 in additional possibility in addition to what's discussed here.
Can you show those supplements, especially the ones I was looking for?
I
What
shared
you're
it with all
proposing.
of you in an email. I can pull that email up. But it was totally conceptual because I don't know what the board wants.
Right.
I know the board wants change, but I don't know what I don't know the magnitude of the change.
Did you work with ADs, I guess, on that to change?
I
What
did.
you, that's what I thought you said, but, I mean,
Yeah, and you know, the feedback I got from in that process was, you know, it hasn't been revisited in a while, and everyone certainly would appreciate some improvements, other than the small amount that the board was able to do last year, but it was relatively
nothing.
a very small amount across the board. And as has been brought to light, there's some supplements that were well below
Yeah.
others, and you know, that those need to be addressed, but then the general consensus was we also need to look at all of them instead of just the few that need to be improved.
We are so far behind, like with our surrounding neighbors.
I liked what Jerry sent, which I mean is a change, but I mean, again, I just want to make sure that, you know, without us dibbling in the weeds of it, it was ADs and you all on board with what you did put on there, so.
Essentially, I had the ADs verify
Yep.
all the amounts, and you know, and of course talk to. They've been aware of some of the
Talk.
few supplements that were considered low, and then I explained what I proposed to you was for the board's sake, consider setting an index, and you know, I used the starting teacher salary and then a percentage assigned to it. And then that's your base, and then in the future, if the board wants to make adjustments, then you look at that, either you change the index or you adjust the percentages. And you go from
That's
there.
fair.
Can we look, can you? pull
Yeah,
up this proposal?
I was trying to,
Sorry.
Now, that's the way they do it in Johnson City. They've got a regular scale going across for like 12 years if you're still holding that same supplement position.
well, you know, and that's a whole nother addition. We didn't address longevity, although we've talked about it. To do it in bands, maybe it's, you know, or the first 12 years or whatever the board would want, but all of it would come with a cost.
I just think we need to start somewhere, and it's just, I just feel like we just keep putting it off and putting it off.
Well, I keep throwing a lot at Mr. Hale. And say,
There's a lot.
Can you have that back to me? And he said, well, I can, but do you want me to work on this or do you want me to work on that?
I feel you, Brad.
You seem to be a pretty tough guy to work for.
Well, I'm sure the jury's out on that. Yeah, here's a summary.
Him?
I'm sorry.
Case in
Legitimately.
It's the wrong time.
No, it wasn't. I'm sorry.
Well, you should drink it.
We hear what you're not saying. and Ms. Reed.
I'm sorry. So I just went down the wrong path.
Likely story. Yeah.
I uploaded both documents to change it in the main, but it'll give you the fund
Okay.
balance pool as is without the changes. Now, if you had any cuts and stuff, obviously, change it.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to change over.
Verify that it's you.
Wrong mouse.
I promise I didn't touch it.
No, it's trying to type on a keyboard. It's not hooked to that computer.
Do you want me to do it?
I saw you typing. The battery's not.
Keith don't,
I don't even know how to turn it on.
Keith don't type, he just hunts backs.
That's right.
Just trying to find the document. There it is. Okay. So as I said, the summary proposed, this is what I shared with the board.
Yeah, I didn't keep
So as I said, this isn't, I mean, in some cases, just to point out, there may be multiple, these are just the supplements and what these stipends were. What I have here is what they are currently. The list down through here in red, I noted the ones that were called out as being questionably low. This is the middle school cross-country. As you can see, compared to several of just around there, that one obviously is much lower.
Track isn't on there. There must be up to date.
I think I have it
Okay.
filtered a certain way. These are just the high schools, there's the middle schools.
So we're gonna have volleyball?
We're not going to, we do.
We do.
Boys volleyball?
We do.
Okay.
In the spring.
So on the cross-country, is there
Some good.
a proposal there as far as what
Yes, that's what I shared with the board.
the,
Here's what I was looking at. I was also, what I did was, I took the index, what I meant by index was, is the teacher 0-year salary as the marker. And I determined what percent is that. The current stipend, flat amount, what percent is it? And this is what this column is right here. You can see the various percentages of each stipend. That particular one was 1.3%. So, you know, it stood out, obviously. And the other thing I want to point out too is some of these have multiple seasons. This one actually is the high school dance sponsor.
Dance cheerleaders.
Yeah, and
Essentially, it's a year-round sport.
You know, a lot of, almost, you know, most every sport in some way has some component of year-round, but the seasons for them do extend football and basketball essentially. And, you know, where it had been set was very low, and the percentage when you use that base amount was calculated very low too, just like this one is across country.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what happened to track on this. I don't know where that went. It's on here somewhere, but there is a middle school track coach. So when I'm copying over from these other adjustments, you can see my other tabs. I may have left out a row. But the general premise is to adjust these percentages and then base it on a fixed amount, 0-year teaching salary, and then calculate the change or the new
adjustment.
Yeah, the new supplement. So some cases, you know, it's a small adjustment. I just round it up, as you can see, and then it calculated to be that. It is an increase. There are some areas based on the calculation that were decreased. We'd have to navigate that, figure out what would be the best solution there. Maybe people that are already in that, hold them flat, and then people coming in, go with the approved scale.
I think
I mean, that's a fair thing to do.
Yes.
So they don't go backwards. You don't want anybody to go backwards.
I don't think anybody's doing it for the money, that's for sure.
No, I don't believe so, but you know, it's really an attempt to try to bring it up to speed and then put the board in a position each year to instead of having to go through each individual supplement, and you could do that, of course, but it would be basically, we're gonna apply a new base, and we're gonna calculate the new supplements, and we're going from there. But the lows, as you can see, like Mr. Huddlestone, here is that middle school cross-country adjustment. It went from 525 to this 1,600 amount, which adjusted closer to everything else. It put it up where everything else was. And then the other one was the dance sponsor, same thing, and it put it up close to where the cheer is, the head cheer coach position. Very similar. There are differences, of course. I don't think, well, according to the ADs, you know, dance teams don't go to away games, but they do all the home games and other events. Cheerleaders go to away and home, 2 seasons, so.
Mr. Barnes?
Question, related, but a little off track. Are our athletic directors satisfied with the offerings that we now provide, or do they have vision to add additional activities or sports?
I think, you know, as far as adding additional sports, they would want to stay close to what TSSAA, you know, sports. I mean, that's where they want to be, but, and the board may already have a process that I'm not aware of. Typically, if you know, if we don't offer a TSSAA sport, I think that's where the conversation starts.
We don't have. I've asked that question. I see local schools have tennis teams.
Yep.
Science Hill now has a lacrosse team.
Yep.
I believe.
Yep.
And several local schools have swim teams.
Yep.
I hate to see us be complacent with what we have, and I know there's a lot to adding these things, but
Yep.
I'd like to know where they would hope to see us be in 10 years from now.
Sure.
Mr. Masters?
2 questions on the stipends. I was under the impression that AD had a stipend, and then I also was under the impression that the principal had an extra stipend. Is that
Well,
true or not?
there is based in the worksheet. Now, we incorporated that, you know, we went to a salary schedule for the ADs.
Right.
That was incorporated
Okay,
into
the
the salary.
stipend was.
So actually, it doesn't match this.
Okay.
Right, those pay plans were revisited, so the supplements you're thinking of are no longer valid.
Okay, okay.
Because their whole salary scale changed, and they're getting paid more now.
We took that into consideration, we moved them on, off of the teacher salary scale, which they shouldn't have been on in the first
Right,
place.
right.
But we put them on their own schedule. Now, the principal does, and it's through the AD's recommendation, does have a flexible
Right.
stipend that they can apply to any sport
Right.
or any program that they identify as a need, additional coach or whatever.
Is
something
it just a
special.
flat rate?
Yes, it is. I don't think I included on this, but in the worksheet, I forget, it was a small amount, it was like $1,500.
I think it was 1,500.
Yeah.
Okay. I just always heard there was one, but I wasn't for sure there actually
Yeah,
was.
that's what in the worksheet that Mr. Hale uses with schools each year, I think it's a flexible or flex.
So we still have that? We
That
just don't
one,
have-
yes. I didn't address it in that.
That's fine, I was just curious.
And it's my understanding if they're not using a stipend in one sport because it's not needed, they can apply it someplace else also. Is that true?
Mm.
That is not true.
Only that flex position.
Only the flex
Now,
position.
the ADs would love to be able to do that, but I kind of caution doing that.
Do we have
I've just experienced it both as a principal and a district person where that was allowed and some of the concerns occurred.
do we have a coach for every position here right now, to your knowledge?
Do we have every one of these filled?
Yes.
Currently, no. I can't quote each one. I know the principals are working on, especially this time of year, working on filling those. You know, the harder, the more challenging ones to fill are usually your middle school coaches positions, and the turnover is heavier in the middle school supplement positions too.
Is the amount in the blue column there included in the budget proposal?
No, that's something, we have not included what the total would be. So what we'd have to do is basically take these projected or proposed supplements and apply them to the actual quantities and come up with a figure on what the difference is.
There's a handful, and I don't know off the top of my head, but a handful where there's just not enough kids to have a team, or they don't have any interest, so that would be a case where there wouldn't be a supplement field either.
Right.
Just when there's, like maybe a certain school just doesn't have enough interest to even have
Yeah.
it. So in that case, you would have one not filled.
And also remember, we, go back to your question, Eric, I think we did try to have a tennis team every year going and have no interest.
Correct.
And, you know, those things have got, I don't know, like Johnson City, for example, but I would imagine there's some development happening at the middle school, at the two middle schools.
Absolutely. And what's our vision
Right.
for that? You know, and I guess I'm of the opinion if you had a great coach that's coaching some off the wall sport, you're gonna have a lot of participation. So just to say you don't have participants says there's not interest, I think is a real fallacy.
So I think our men's volleyball was student driven. The boys went to their ADs and said, we want to have a men's volleyball league because they all have one. And so that was created out of student driven. So
I would have thought that would have had to come before the full board to vote on volleyball, because any time that we add a program, it had to come before the board to okay it. 'Cause we funded
I
it.
don't know, I mean, when I came on, there was a male volleyball team here I thought was
I
interesting.
didn't know,
it's been there for several years
it's like
now.
when they come wanting to have a bowling, you remember when they wanted to have a bowling team? And they come to us to ask to have it, and I don't know what happened, but I think we turned it down.
I think Johnson's been the coach of the
They got a fishing.
Boone's team since he was.
That's a
working
club
with
though,
Boone.
isn't it?
Or
Or
club,
is,
it's
that's a
not a-
club,
we
right?
don't-
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We don't pay nothing for it.
And I just like, you know, just as our academic leaders do, I like to see our athletic
I
leaders.
didn't know
Sure.
it was even.
Well, they,
thinking
believe me,
about where we're gonna go.
they have thought,
It's on
you know.
there.
I'll be honest with you on this, just because it's the 11th hour, I wouldn't put the MNOP adjustments on our, let us go back, you know, next year, but to move those supplements. You've give most of them a raise, and I wouldn't put anybody at negative. I would add the 32, you know, 38 at 21,
Right.
to where nobody loses no money, because I don't want to see, just because you
Right.
coach Lamar and I coach Westview,
Yeah.
you made more money, you know what I'm
But
saying?
depending, so the other part of this table is I did add columns for longevity. I
Right.
put them in groups, as you can see.
Yeah.
and I just looked at common lanes. And so some of those folks that might show red, if we applied the longevity, they may have been doing that for 10 years.
Right.
And it might not be a loss to them. But bottom line is, we would not want, in the transition, anybody to go
No,
backwards.
I just add the 38-21 to,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, to
Right.
make it all even.
Yeah.
And, but I don't believe, just at the moment where we're at, MNOP, I wouldn't do that just yet. Let's just get our, trued
Yeah.
up on the other.
This column right
Yes, sir.
here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And move
Well,
forward
we can
with that.
calculate what that total cost is, and it raises, address the concerns that were definitely, obviously, we put them in red.
Yeah,
They were glaring,
right.
and this moves everyone forward, and it sets the stage for long-term improvements.
Yes.
Do we need to vote on that to move forward with this?
If you want us, yeah, I mean, you can to incorporate it in the budget. I'm maybe less optimistic, but I don't assume the board's gonna approve a budget tonight. But if you wanna formally take action that we incorporate that into the budget draft, so what you do vote on next Thursday will include this.
What does that add, Brad?
I have to get his sheet there.
May 1st is our budget.
Yeah,
It,
with that night, after the budget. As long as we get done before midnight.
And if we all go to the stuff in the blue
mayor's
column.
deadline.
I just didn't,
Shoot, I was ready to make a motion to approve a budget tonight.
Well, you're welcome to do that with contingencies, but I just, like I said, I just didn't think the board was in a place to do that, but you may see things differently.
Mr. Flynn?
I'll make a motion that we approve line K of Jerry's Google spreadsheet right here and true up those negative numbers in L to at least 0, because we're just looking at the high schools, and then get us a figure for that, going forward with our coaching supplements.
Second.
Any discussion?
Did you capture all that?
We're gonna go ahead and include this in the budget.
Yep.
We'll calculate the total amount that it'll add to the
Okay.
budget, and it'll be included in the final draft of the budget.
And
L to
make
0,
column
at
L,
least positive.
nobody's negative, everything's neutral.
Just wanna make sure nobody goes backwards in this transition. Yes, sir.
Because, I mean, we're just looking at the high schools, but there may have been some in the middle schools same way, but.
Yeah,
I'd
I'm
really
trying
like-
to figure out why I don't have the middle schools in there, but we will have the middle schools in the calculations.
I'd like to see us go back and look at this maybe January or something before the,
budget.
and.
That would be a good time, mid-year.
Yes, sir.
Is it appropriate to ask for my budget from 8 million out to 6 million, or is this way?
I mean, the board can, if that's the bar you want us to look at, that's.
I was just curious where the difference come in.
We just
Vote
need to
on
vote,
this.
We was
Yeah,
at
but
8.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I didn't wanna.
and then we'll go. So can we vote, please?
Yes.
Why is that not at 8, Brad?
that never was. That's just a summary sheet. You have to go, you approve the main budget document. That's just a summary sheet that you're looking at right there. You need to get the fund balance, pull the big budget document up, which I did upload. So,
It's an increase in budget, not an out balance.
yeah, that's just simply what we're
Yes.
changing
Yes,
from last year to this year is all that sheet
Yes.
is.
I understand now, I got confused.
Hey, Judge, you gotta open up.
I know. I just want to call mine.
Yeah.
Sure.
I did too.
Yes, ma'am, for me.
Voting is open.
Before the coaching supplements, you're at $8,087,361 out of balance for fund balance.
I just mislooked at it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just click on the menu bar. Click right there.
Chad's all done.
And just hit return.
Move on.
Refresh. Come back. Now you go down to.
Mine's still running around.
It's
Look
showing
like-
yours voted.
Okay, good,
Okay,
but
yours-
because it's still making, it's still timing.
The survey's computer.
Okay.
I've lost.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes or no?
I'm yes.
Whitney, you in there? Okay. Motion carried.
Motion's approved.
And just, you know, just to confirm, that's to add that total cost to the overall budget.
I'll have that on that change sheet summary too after we do this, but I'll figure fixed costs in, because me and Mr. Boyd will come up with an actual salary cost, but then I have to add social security and the.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Hammonds is not here, you got him as a vote. Yes.
I'll fix it, don't worry.
Yeah, no phone-in votes.
Mr. Boyd, I just quickly updated my template. I didn't do our sheriff template, so that's an upload. The one you just.
We're done.
uploaded.
I thought we were.
just did. Here, let me go.
Okay. That
Joey.
was different, okay.
Yeah, that's where we added the 54,770.
Okay,
So I'll update our sheriff template.
okay, okay. Yeah, this actually would not reflect, this is what you referred to, Mr. Urban, and Mr. Masters, the actual budget
Yes, I
document.
just,
So,
I mislooked.
I did update from the last meeting, you know, last time I numbered the lines, just so it'd be easier to read. This is the same document, but with some of the updates that were indicated, and there's the number that
Put a
Mr. Hale
clarification on
might,
something.
in addition to, there's 54,000
Right.
more that would go in there.
I just got confused when I seen this.
Yeah, sorry, me too.
No problem.
Mr.
Yeah, point of clarification, in our last meeting, we talked about the discretionary funds at the school and the extra $100. Would that be something that can be entertained at some time in the meeting for a motion that be done, that
I thought
an
it
amount?
failed.
We
I thought it
done voted
failed.
on that.
We didn't vote, no.
You didn't vote on that?
No, that was extra money. This is out of the discretionary funds.
Something that would need to be at March 1st budget, I mean, not budget.
May
meeting,
1st.
May 1st, sorry. The May board meeting, there'll be a formal item requesting, I mean, because those funds, it doesn't make sense to expend them this year.
No,
It would be to allocate a specific amount out of the outcome-based funds in FY '20. It'd be part of the budget, but it's really outside the budget. It just would be to allocate those funds for the teachers.
so save it to May 1st.
You can do it next Thursday as a formal
Yes.
action, not necessarily in the budget meeting.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Well,
Mr. Wood?
I don't have nothing. I mean, I just wanted to, there's gonna have to be some cuts, I'm afraid. We don't have no media or nothing here. If you wanna adjourn, we can talk.
No, I'd like to send it as is. I mean,
I want to send it
Well,
as
okay.
is.
We'll send it as is. That's fine.
As is.
I would like, you know, in next Thursday, if the board takes that action, but I would like, you know, what I think as far as engaging with the commission, I think we have to show them the full amount.
Yeah.
And then the various levels of what reductions would look like. You know, not as a posturing as a, you know, for a fight. It's
No.
just, we have to show them, these are the things that, here's where we need to be, and here's what we would have to do if we can't get there.
Well, and for our call meeting earlier, as I understand, we expect, with this budget, and we're not using that for our fund balance, and we expect at the end of the year, we'll be down around 16 million.
This year?
Yes.
So my latest estimate is 18 to 20, and that just depends on how much of these funds we get spent. The furniture, for example, that ESSER reimbursement fund, that's where that furniture money is coming from, these piece allocations. So if we don't spend half of that, you know, we may be up 18.5 to 19.5 range. So if we use 8 million next year, that's gonna put us down to 11 million next year. And my fear will be cash flow issues in the month of June, if we get down that low.
Right.
We'll point out currently in the budget too, Brad still has the 1.35 million that adds to that for food service. So if decisions are made too. Earlier Brad alluded in talking with Ms. Hugh, there's a possibility if we do have to make changes and go away from CEP, that she could recover some of that, and it may not be necessary for the board to actually utilize 1.35 million.
Just to
towards-
clarify, that's 350,000 of that is the EESI loan.
Yeah,
we pay the
that's-
county,
that's right.
But $1 million of that was the food service.
Thank you.
Word on this would be that if we wanted to feed all the kids,
That was it.
That's what we were just.
That's
That's it.
1 million?
The 1 million.
$1 million.
That lowers it a
And
million.
that's just for next year because they're still gonna have some fund balance at the end. When we get to the following year, that 1 million will probably go to 1.2 to 1.4.
with the state feeding some of the kids already. You're
That's
still
just-
saying it's gonna cost
keep it
us
as
$1
it
million?
is right now.
Yeah, if you keep it as it is right now. Anything else? We're adjourned.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you all.